What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. This is Jordan with Simple Trading Success, where I help traders elevate their mindset around wealth principles as well as teach you to simplify your trading process and show you how to trade effectively. Now, in this video, this is going to be my third video of a series that we're calling Great Gains, the secrets for spotting key zones and winning moves. Now, we talked about in our previous video, we talked about liquidity and I talked about being able to kind of spot areas of possibly where the money is, right? So we get an idea of where we can find and wait for these potential opportunities. Now, in this video, I know a big question a lot of people might be asking is saying, well, how do we know? Do we buy or do we sell? Do we buy or do we sell? And which direction Which direction is the market heading? Well, I have two simple words for you for that, and that is market structure. You see, the market is going to move in a certain direction. Now, here's the thing: you're going to have institutions, you're going to have banks, you're going to have the large whales that are moving the market. They're moving it in a certain direction. However, within that direction, there are other within that trend, let's say, there are other trends that are happening. And this is why if you haven't watched part two, I want you to go back and watch part two so you can understand where I talk about support and resistance or higher time frames because you need to be able to see what is the big picture. And that way, then you can scale down to see, okay, well, if the market is going in an upward direction, where are the potentials that when the market retraces down on smaller downtrend potentials that the market can where we could catch for the market to go back up. So let's talk about this. So what is structure? So I want you to think about structure as a series of highs and lows. So for example, let's take this up tendon structure here. We have what's called higher lows and higher highs, as you can see that I illustrated here. And so what you'll find that is that in the beginning of an uptrending structure, of course, we're gonna have a low, right? And then you notice that the market will go up, it will set a high, it will do its little waves and create all different type of candles. It will set this pivot of a high, then it will drop, then it's gonna set a higher low, which is this low is gonna be higher than the previous low. And then this low is gonna this is gonna be the low is gonna potentially start trending up. Then we're gonna hit a higher high, and that higher high is gonna be higher than the previous high. And then we're gonna come down. It's gonna create a higher low, a new higher low, which is gonna be higher than the previous higher low. And it's gonna keep doing this, right? And it's gonna keep this cycle going until structure breaks at some point. And so you'll see this happening on an uptrending structure, right? And then we'll have what is a downtrending structure, where it's a very opposite. We'll have a high. You'll notice that the market will drop. It will settle low, and then it will retrace back up, set a lower high, which is going to be this high is going to be higher than the previous one. It's going to drop, do those zigzag candles, make a lower low, and then it's going to come up, set a new high, which is going to be higher than the previous high, and then it's going to create a new lower low, which is this low is going to be lower than the previous low. And then it's going to create a new lower high, and this cycle will continue until it decides to come up and break the structure of one of these highs. Okay? And so one of the things that we want to be able to do is identify structure so we can get an idea and we can get a better picture of where the market is moving, which direction the market is going towards. So let's talk about this. If we go to our chart here, I'm looking at Euro JPY, and I want you to notice this. I want you to notice how the market is trending up, and then the market broke, and it started trending down. Okay. Now let's look at this uptrend for a second. So if we go in this uptrend, we could see. Okay, if we go in this uptrend, we can see. So let's say we go from the stop of this, the the start, excuse me, of this uptrend. We can see that the market. So I'll begin my tool. We can see that the market started to create structure. Created this high, then it created a low, then it came up, created a new high, new low, right? Came up high, and it just repeated this cycle all the way up, all the way up. Let me open this for you so you can see it a little bit. So you can see how the structure was made. You see this. So the market created this structure, and we get an idea that okay, the market is trending up. Right? The market is trending up. The market is trending up. And look, it continued up. Market continued up. It continued up, right? Until finally, the market said, okay, what we created, we're still doing structure here, right? Created a low, higher low, and then we're waiting for the higher high. Oh, look, it didn't. It didn't surpass here. It just created an equal high. Then it came down. And look, it looks like it's creating almost like an equal low. It broke structure a little bit. Looks like it's struggling. Looks struggling to break this. Then look, it finally breaks a little bit of this structure here. Then it comes up. Then we can see, okay, it continues the structure. And okay, kind of good. Kind of like struggling. You can see it struggling. Then it continues the structure finally. And then we say, okay, great. It's going to continue the structure. So you'll be looking for maybe the market to stop here and then go up. But guess what? It broke all the structure. You see that? These highs, it broke. Boom. Broke. And then what happened? And then what happened? It looks like it started this new structure. It broke all of this here. So all this structure that was here, these highs, these higher let me show you this. So these higher lows, it broke these. And then the market just started to create new structure. Created a low, came up, created a lower high, and created a new lower low. Look, and you can see that market is downtrending. So now this is where you could be looking to get sells. Right? You see the trend happen. And then the market continues down. And you can see how the market just rockets down, just falls. It just falls. But guess what? Structure is still downtrending because it has not broken here. Still down. So it sets a new low, higher low, and so forth. Look, another high didn't break. So if we would have broke here, we could have been looking at potential continuation up, but structure continues. And so you'll never know for sure what the market is going to do, right? But you can get an idea of what direction you want to be on. And you can see how the structure played out. So now let's talk about this. Market structure. We have two types of structures, strong structure and weak structure. And I want to identify some things that we just saw in this strong structure so that way you can be able to, I want you to be able to identify if the structure is strong or if it's weak. So you know if there's either reversals coming or if there's continuations coming. Because the thing you don't want to do is you don't want to trade against the trend. You don't want to trade against the market. You want to catch where the market is going and trade with it. And so when there is a reversal happen, when structure is changing, you can have a better idea spotting, looking for certain things and know, okay, yeah, structure looks like it's definitely shifting. Okay, so let's talk about this. Strong structure. Normally, with strong structure, reversals are harder to occur. So, when we looked at this, look at this. This would be considered strong structure. This would be considered strong structure, and you can see that was a little harder. This was considered strong structure, right? You can see that it was a little harder for the market to reverse. Now, did it reverse in smaller time frames? Absolutely. On these retracements, right? There's probably smaller time frames that were getting structure was getting broken, but then it came back and it did its thing and it kept going up. This is strong structure, right? And so strong structure, strong structure normally reversals are harder to occur, as well as you'll see big moves grabbing liquidity up and down the highs and the lows. So meaning this, if I came in a small time frame, we were just on an hour. We're gonna look at a 15 minute. If I came on a 15 minute, for example, right, and we talked about, remember those equal highs, right? For example, so let's take this right here, equal highs, right? Equal lows. So excuse me. Let's take these equal highs. We got equal high here. Look at that. We have some equal highs here. Let me scale in so you can see this a little better. Let's even take like maybe here these equal lows here. And so what we would have saw is that the market was doing these big moves, equal high, right? Equal low, grabbing liquidity, boom, came past these lows, grabbed this liquidity, shot up in the direction it was going. Guess what? Grabbed this money up here, this liquidity here, boom, came down, shot up. Already grabbed this liquidity, it's going in this direction, it's going to continue its direction, right? Boom, doing a zigzag, right? We even see more. We even see more here. Has some semi-equal lows, equal highs here. Excuse me. And you see the market kind of dip down. There's probably some equals, probably even some like equal high, equal lows here, which is probably around. Let me see. Oops, sorry about that. Oh, right here. See that equal lows. Boom. Came down, grabbed that liquidity and shot up. And so you'll see these type of moves just continuing over and over and over until the market is ready to shift structure, and then all this liquidity is just gonna tank and grab all that, right? And so you'll see these big moves, and those are big moves on the small time frames, right? So a lot of times you want to be able to scale up to see if you are the liquidity or if there's liquidity, but you want to be able to scale down as well to be able to say, okay, this is where I'm targeting, and this is where I can wait for this opportunity and enter. Also, you'll see staircase zigzag. And as I showed you, if you look at this, it's like a staircase, right? So it's like you see like these little steps. Starts to create these little steps. Right? The market creates like these little steps of zigzag. And if I draw it more accurately, you would even see stuff like this. You would even see because we've had one here, here, here. I was kind of just trying to do the bigger picture, but you'll see like these zigzags. You'll see like this zigzagging of like staircase, right? And so this is when you know that this is strong structure. But guess what happened when we got here? We started to see the staircase start to disappear, right? And then it started to continue. It started to continue back on a smaller time frame. You see the staircase. Sorry guys, 1 second. You'll see the staircase start to come back, right? Right here. Boom, boom. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Boom. Then guess what? Stairs are gone. Stairs were done. And so let's talk about this. So that's strong structure. And then what happened on the top? You saw on the top of this chart up here, you saw structure started to change. Structure started to get weak. Structure started to get weak around here. You see the staircase started to leave. You didn't see really any big grabs of liquidity when it came to those big equal highs and lows. There was some like here, but you didn't really see those big grabs and it continuing, to make new highs, new higher highs and new higher lows. And so, with that being said, we can start to see that structure, a weak structure, starting to occur. And what happens with weak structure is that reversals are easier to happen. And we've seen that here. Now, the market did definitely go up because sometimes you're going to see this weak structure happen and it's going to fight. It's going to say, no, 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 we're going to push up and and make people believe that structures continue. And then it's dropping. And so you want to be careful that you don't get these fake outs. You want to be careful that you don't get these runs where you get deceived that structures continued because we saw a structure slowing down and then it dropped. And so what happened? We saw when that happened, and what happened? Reversal happened, and then the market started to downtrend, started to make these new lower, started to make these new lows, higher lows, and lower lows. Right. So weak structure, and so weak structure. We started to see. I'm sorry. Let me show you this because I know I didn't have it on the chart. We started to see the market started to shift. It started to shift. Weak structure staircases started to leave. Right. Staircases started to leave. The market started to shoot up to give the illusion that it was going to drop. I give the illusion that it was that structure, excuse me, was continuing, and then it finally just tanked. And so right, so you saw this manipulation that happened, right, where the market got pushed up, but you saw that liquidity wasn't really being grabbed, right? You saw that, like I said, there might have been a little bit. If I open this up more, there might have been a little liquidity. Let's say right here, you see this little grab here, some liquidity, probably right here, but we didn't see the grab, right? The grab is happening here, right? And so you'll see that these grabs won't happen as much, right? You see that the staircase starts to leave. There's no new highs, new higher highs, or new higher lows being created. We see the market push up, then finally, boom, it tanked, right? And so with weak structure, you're gonna see reversals are easier to happen, right? Easier to happen, and you'll see big, fast moves, long wicks, and long candles. So, for example, let's go back. We saw that structure started to get weak, and then guess what? Did this final push of manipulation, gives this new small structure you think is going up, then boom, tanks, breaks all of this, especially around here. And then the market, and guess what? Like I said, we get these large candles and wicks. And so we got these big, large candles. We're starting to get these big wicks because it's showing that the market is exhausted from the buyers. You start to see these red wicks, which is showing that buyers, excuse me, buyers are getting exhausted. And these large red wicks and large candles. And we saw that structure broke. And so this is an example of a weak structure, about to happen. And so we get big, fast moves, these long wicks, large candles. And then what happens, we also get erratic zigzagging on a weak structure. So now, starting here, once this area, this high happened and we started to go down, we started to see that, okay, we're having a strong structure started to occur. But look, this is a weak structure. So this is not something we really want to be taking sells because we're still trying to figure out, is the market about the downtrend, right? We've seen these long candles. This is a weak structure, right? So even here, if you were looking at the market in this area, we would see that we would see that sorry, let me get my thing. We would see that this was a weak structure. Look, it's erratic, right? It's erratic zigzagging, and we could even see it here. Remember we talked about the staircase was starting to leave. We can even see it here, erratic zigzagging. So we're still getting zigzagging, right? Up and down, but we're not getting staircase zigzagging, right? Like this uptrend. We're not getting this type of zigzagging. Up, down, as in steps. As well as we're not getting this zigzagging once the downtrend really starts to form. Look, we're not even getting this kind of zigzagging. Say up. Oops, sorry. We're not even getting this up, down, right? We're not even getting this kind of zigzagging, right? And even in here, this looks like a big drop, but we also even had some small we had some small staircases even in here, as you can see, up, down. So if I actually let me stretch this out really quick so you guys can see this clear what I'm saying. And so we can even see this here, right? On a small time, if we if we scale in, we can see that there was still zigzagging, there's still staircase happening. Look, new highs, higher low. I'm sorry, highs, lower highs and lower lows still being created, right? Till we start to get here, okay, but it's still lower lows here, and then market just continues. So structure just continues, right? Until we start to see this kind of happen. Then structure, especially right here, then structure starts to get weak here. It just starts to fall. There's really no staircase in here, right? And so we're not really looking to sell because we still need this structure up here to be broken. And so what happens here? You start to see the structure. It's starting to get broken, but we're also seeing staircases. We're seeing upward staircases again. Let's see. Okay, that's not valid. Okay, now we're starting to see it come up. Okay, we're starting to see higher. We're starting to see little by little higher highs being formed. So this is not really a strong structure yet. I wouldn't say this is a strong structure yet until we start to get some significant higher highs and higher lows, which we're not getting. So to me, this could still be on a downtrend, right? And this is currently where we're at in the market. So if I'm looking at any opportunities here, I'm potentially looking at opportunities to probably sell this market, right? But of course, it's gonna depend on where my support and resistance and all that is. And so this is what I want you guys to understand about that's weak structure. So you want to trade on strong structure. You want to trade on strong structure. You want to trade on this, right? You want to see those big staircase zigzagging, right? You want to see liquidity getting grabbed up and down and it continuing in the direction of the trend. Okay? And then when that happens, guess what you do? You catch the trend, and you trade with the trend. Okay? We're going to wrap this up. We're going to talk about 3 confirmations of direction. Number 1 that I like to look for is direction of the trend. So we talked about this direction of the trend. Let's look at this downtrend that we're looking at. Right? Simple. One thing you could do is just get your trend line, right? Look at where is the trend going. So this is a confirmation direction of the trend. And so we can use that. We can determine that by trend lines and moving averages. Because again, if I was to put let's say a moving average on this, right? Let's go back to the chart. Now, if I was to put a moving average on this, right? And so let's say we said, okay, we're gonna put a moving average. It's gonna depend on your strategy, right? What moving average that you're gonna be using. So let's say I'm just gonna add an EMA, right? Exponential moving average, right? I could clearly see. Let me move all these drawings. Look at the moving average there. I can clearly see that the market is it's like a trend line, right? Let me make this a little bigger. And this is a tight trend line, right? This is a tight, excuse me, EMA. So I can do a 200 EMA, 200 EMA, and you can see what's happening. You can see the trend. So it serves as like it's a dynamic support and resistance. It serves as like a trend line where I can have my static trend line, right? And I have my static trend line here, which is my static diagonal resistance, and then I have my dynamic. And so that's number one confirmation, three of three. That's the first confirmation that I look for when I'm looking for direction. The second confirmation is structure breaks or retest. And so we talked about that with support and resistance, right? We talked about that with support and resistance. We talked about here. Remember how I was showing you before that these highs and lows, these new highs were being set, and then the market started to get erratic up here, right? And then we saw this big candle. Remember, we saw this big candle, and this big candle broke structure. Remember this big candle here. This big candle broke these. Remember, we were waiting for higher lows, and we didn't get that any. Once here it started to break, and so that's a confirmation that I'm looking for. I'm looking for a break in structure. I'm looking for a break in structure, and then once I see the break in structure, I can clearly see. Guys, catch this because this is gonna transform your trading if you really just this simple concept. If you get this, apply this. Once I get this break in structure, then I'm simply looking for what is the new floor and ceiling. And I clearly see there's a ceiling here, right, being created. And I can go back and see, okay, what was the floor, right? And so now I'm looking for the retest up here. I'm looking for the retest here, as well as new ones are going to be created, right? I'm looking for that structure break. So this is a continuation of the structure breaking from previously when we had this big uptrend. And so that's the second confirmation that I'm looking for, right? And so I'm looking for those zones and what we also call displacement. And I'll have a video strictly on displacement. I'm not going to go too in depth, but displacement is basically this. It's the break. It's the break of a major uh, swing pivot point. So we had these highs, these higher lows, excuse me, and the market just boom displace. So we see the big run, and this is something called displacement, right? We had a big large candle. The market didn't come back with a big green candle; just continues to agree with this big red one, and then we started to see the retest of the zone. There's a structure break, huge run, huge fall down, which we call displacement. And so that's what I'm looking for as my second confirmation. Now, my third confirmation that I'm looking for, my third confirmation are candle confirmations. So we're gonna have a whole video on that as well. I'm looking for candles. I'm looking for certain candles, especially stuff like this. When I get these big, large engulfing candles, right? You get like these type of candles, and we get these dojis, we get these hammer candles, especially out of zones, right? These are confirmations, especially out of these break and retest zones where structure has broke, confirmation that the market's gonna continue down. So you got all these big red candles, right? And we're gonna get into other candle patterns and such as and things like that. And so I'm looking at these confirmations that the market is showing. I got this doji here, I got this hammer candle, I got this big Marabozo candle, right? And so I got this three line strike pattern. And so these are showing me confirmations that the market is going to keep dropping. And so, guys, this is how you can determine the direction of where the market is going. So simply, guys, remember to sell high and buy low, guys. Sell high, buy low. And you can see that by adding these principles. So please review this video as much as you need. Also, part two, part one. This is your Great Gains Secrets of Spotting Key Zones and Winning Moves. This is video number 3. I want to thank you for tuning in. I know this was a little long. This is about, 30 minutes? But this is more of like a class. I'm going to have some short videos just giving you tips and things like that. But I want you guys to watch this 5-part series in depth and really understand what is happening in the market and how to look at it. And now you can see this more simplistic, where institutional trading, when you hear these terms and smart money concepts, you can kind of see it in more in a simplistic way. Spot these zones, spot these areas where the money is, where your potential take the money is, right? You'll never know where it truly is, but you can get an idea of what's happened. And then look for these confirmations, look for structure, right? Look for the zones. And then it will make you a more efficient trader, and it will save you a lot of pain and loss. Okay, guys, so thank you for watching this video, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace and blessings.